They handcuff Daniel Rigg in silence. Just another unstable vet says, "Prosecutor Harrison Blake eager to make headlines." They thought he was dangerous. What they didn't know, he's a Marine sniper who once saved an entire village without pulling the trigger. Stick around, because when General Samuel Wyatt enters the courtroom in full dress uniform, carrying classified documents, and 30 years of buried truth, the narrative flips. The system tried to break Daniel, but justice, like a sniper's aim, never forgets its mark. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from and what time you found this video. Don't miss out on future content by subscribing now. General Samuel Wyatt's fingers drummed against his mahogany desk, each tap echoing his growing irritation as CNN's coverage of Vet on trial flickered on his office television. His jaw clenched at the sight of that incompetent district attorney Harrison Blake spreading lies about Daniel. The same Daniel who'd saved an entire village without firing a single shot. But Harrison Blake wouldn't know about that. Couldn't know about that. The weight of the bronze star in Samuel's drawer seemed heavier today. He pulled it out, letting the morning sun catch its surface, remembering the day he'd pinned a similar one on Daniel's chest. Now some small-town prosecutor thought he could erase 30 years of service with a single accusation. "Sir D.A. Blake is on line 1. His assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. Samuel Wyatt's lip curled into a cold smile as he lifted the receiver. "Harrison Blake," he said, his voice carrying the authority of 4 decades in military intelligence. "I understand you're prosecuting Daniel Rigg." The prosecutor's confident tone grated against Samuel's ears. "General Wyatt, this is a straightforward case. Your interest in it is noted, but straightforward." Samuel cut him off, rising from his chair to stand at parade rest before his office window overlooking the Capitol. "Like how straightforward it was when Daniel prevented a massacre in '73, the one that's still classified." The silence on the other end was satisfying. "Check your inbox in 5 minutes, Mr. Blake. You'll find some interesting reading." The sound of Samuel hanging up the phone resonated like a rifle bolt sliding home. He turned to the squadron photo on his wall, focusing on Daniel's quiet figure in the back row. "Type, truth, if you believe every veteran deserves justice," he murmured, rehearsing the social media post he'd release alongside the declassified files. His hand brushed against his own service medals displayed prominently on his desk. Would power-hungry bureaucrats like Blake try to erase his service next? How many other veterans were being stripped of their dignity in courtrooms across America? The notification on his phone showed Yar's vet on trial climbing Twitter's trending list. Samuel Wyatt allowed himself a grim smile. By sunset, the nation would know the truth about Daniel Rigg, and Harrison Blake would learn why you never underestimate a silent warrior. The question isn't whether Daniel Rigg is guilty. Samuel spoke to his empty office voice, heavy with 3 decades of classified operations. The question is, how many more veterans are being sacrificed on the altar of political ambition? How many more decorated heroes are we willing to let them destroy? His phone buzzed. Blake had received the files. Samuel watched the Capitol dome gleaming in the morning sun, remembering the oath he'd taken to defend his brothers in arms. Some battles weren't fought with bullets, but with truth. And this war was just beginning. The clock struck 9. In a courthouse 300 miles away, Daniel's trial would be starting. Samuel Wyatt straightened his tie, grabbed his briefcase full of declassified documents, and headed for the door. The sound of it closing behind him echoed like distant artillery, a sound of approaching justice. General Samuel Wyatt's hands trembled slightly as he spread the classified documents across his mahogany desk, each page revealing another fragment of Daniel Rigg's extraordinary service record. The weight of his service medallion felt unusually heavy against his chest as he absorbed the gravity of what these civilian prosecutors were doing to one of America's finest warriors. Decorated combat veteran turned dangerous loner. General Samuel Wyatt read aloud from the local newspaper's website, his voice thick with disgust. The prosecution's narrative was spreading like wildfire, painting Daniel's tactical silence and measured responses as signs of hidden malice. Every instinct honed over 4 decades of military service screamed at him that this was wrong. The whirring printer continued its steady rhythm, each new page emerging like the beat of chopper blades, a sound that transported General Samuel Wyatt back to that classified operation in '09. The one where Daniel had saved an entire village without firing a single shot, using nothing but presence and quiet authority. The same qualities they were now twisting into evidence against him. "Sir, the prosecution has requested all of Sergeant Rigg's psychological evaluations." His aide's voice crackled through the intercom. General Samuel Wyatt's jaw clenched. They were fishing, hoping to find PTSD or combat stress they could weaponize. His fingers traced the edges of his own service medallion, identical to the one he'd presented to Daniel after that mission. The metal felt cold, accusing. The general's computer chimed with another email alert. 3 more veterans from Daniel's unit had been subpoenaed. They would be forced to testify about his concerning behavior, the way he assessed rooms upon entering, his preference for sitting with his back to walls, the tactical awareness that had kept them all alive in combat. "Have you seen what happens to the quiet ones?" General Samuel Wyatt muttered, remembering his own mentor's words from decades ago. "They carry the heaviest burdens because they never share the load." His hands moved to a sealed folder marked Classified Operation Silent Shield. Inside lay the truth about Daniel's greatest achievement and the reason for his carefully cultivated silence. The printer finally fell silent. General Samuel Wyatt gathered the warm pages, each one a piece of the puzzle these civilian prosecutors couldn't, or wouldn't, understand. The scientific studies were clear combat veterans often developed heightened situational awareness and careful speech patterns as survival mechanisms. But in the hands of an agenda-driven prosecution, these very traits were being twisted into warning signs. "Tell me something." "Captain," General Samuel Wyatt addressed the portrait of his younger self on the wall, the service medallion gleaming on his chest in the old photograph. "When did protecting others become a sign of danger?" He thought of the psychological profiles he'd just printed. Page after page documenting Daniel's exceptional emotional control and strategic thinking. The same qualities that had made him invaluable in the field were now being used to paint him as a ticking time bomb. Type silent warrior, if you've ever been misunderstood for being quiet and capable. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the general's desk as he began organizing the evidence into 2 piles, what could be revealed and what had to remain classified for national security. His own service medallion caught the light, throwing a sharp reflection across the wall. A reminder of the burden of command, of knowing truths that couldn't be spoken. Reports from military psychologists described Daniel's profound capacity for calm under pressure and exceptional ability to de-escalate volatile situations. General Samuel Wyatt had seen these qualities firsthand during Operation Silent Shield. Now, watching the prosecution twist these strengths into suspicious behavior patterns, he felt a deep unease about the system he'd sworn to protect. The quietest warriors. General Samuel Wyatt whispered, running his fingers over his service medallion one more time. "Carry the loudest truths." He reached for his secure phone, knowing that breaking his own silence might be the only way to protect one of America's finest from becoming a victim of the very system he'd sacrificed everything to defend. The irony wasn't lost on him. That General Samuel Wyatt, who had built his career on disciplined silence and careful action, would now have to become the loudest voice in the room to save a man being persecuted for possessing those very same qualities. Officer Samuel Wyatt stares at his phone, his jaw clenching tighter with each refresh. The courthouse video has exploded across social media, but not with the narrative he desperately tried to control. His hands shake slightly, as he watches the clip for the 100th time, his own voice thundering through the halls, his finger jabbing at Daniel's chest, the crowd's collective gasp at his abuse of power. The timestamp shows 6 hours since his world began unraveling. Sir CNN is requesting a statement. His aide's voice trembles through the intercom. Officer Samuel Wyatt ignores it, fixated on the trending hashtag #WyattAbuse that's reached over 100,000 mentions. His military medallion feels heavier against his chest, no longer a symbol of authority, but a reminder of his hubris. The security footage keeps playing on every network, dissected frame by frame. Commentators point out how he positioned himself, how he leveraged his uniform to intimidate. Classic abuse of power, one analyst declares. This is what systemic veteran discrimination looks like. Officer Samuel Wyatt's throat tightens as he recognizes the truth in their words. His phone buzzes, another text from the police commissioner. Internal Affairs wants to review your previous cases. Officer Samuel Wyatt's hands grow cold. They'll find the other incidents, the times he'd thrown his weight around, believing his decorated status made him untouchable. The medallion catches the light again, mocking him. A knock at the door makes him jump. Sir, the Veterans Affairs Committee is here. Officer Samuel Wyatt's heart pounds as he straightens his uniform, the fabric suddenly suffocating. Through the glass partition, he sees Daniel standing tall beside his lawyer, their eyes meeting briefly. The same defiant glare that had triggered his earlier outburst now carries a different weight. The medal ceremony photos on his wall seem to whisper accusations. Officer Samuel Wyatt reaches for one, his reflection distorted in the glass. 20 years of service, countless commendations, and in 6 hours social media has rewritten his legacy. The sound of his medallion hitting his desk echoes like a judge's gavel. Have you seen what they're saying about your handling of the Martinez case last year? His aide's voice cracks. Officer Samuel Wyatt's stomach lurches. One viral moment has torn open the vault of his past decisions, each one now scrutinized through a lens he never imagined. As the sun sets over Washington, Officer Samuel Wyatt watches his carefully constructed world crumble. The medallion lies abandoned on his desk, its shine dulled by the truth it now represents. In the distance, protesters' chants grow louder, carrying a simple message that pierces his office walls. Justice for veterans. Type "Truth Hurts" if you've ever seen power crumble in real time. His phone chimes one final time. The police commissioner's message is brief. Committee hearing tomorrow. Bring your badge. Officer Samuel Wyatt's fingers trace the medallion's edge, remembering how proudly he'd worn it this morning. Now, like his authority, it's just a hollow symbol of power misused. Officer Timothy Blackwood strode into the courthouse, his polished badge catching the morning light one last time. The same marble halls where he'd lorded his authority for 15 years now felt like a closing trap. 24 hours ago, he would have sneered at anyone who dared challenge him. Now his fingers trembled as he adjusted his collar, the viral hashtag #JoshBlackwoodFalls haunting his every step. The crowd parted before him, not out of respect as before, but with a predator's anticipation. Officer Timothy Blackwood could feel their phones recording, waiting for his final fall. His boots, usually thundering with authority, clicked softly against the floor, each step carrying him closer to the courtroom, where everything would change. Through the heavy wooden doors, he saw him. Daniel Rigg, standing tall despite everything Officer Timothy Blackwood had done to break him. The decorated veteran's eyes held no hatred, only a calm certainty that made Blackwood's stomach churn. The viral video of yesterday's confrontation had already reached millions. Blackwood's sneering face as he'd thrown Rigg's medals to the ground, not knowing the man's true identity or the storm it would unleash. All rise! The bailiff's voice cracked through the air like a whip. Officer Timothy Blackwood's knees nearly buckled as General Samuel Wyatt entered his dress uniform, adorned with medals that told stories of valor Blackwood could never comprehend. The general's presence sent whispers rippling through the gallery, the same whispers that had started when the truth about Da Nang began spreading online. Officer Blackwood. The general's voice carried the weight of command. Approach the bench. Each step felt like walking through quicksand. Officer Timothy Blackwood's badge, his shield of impunity for so long, now felt like it was burning through his chest. Behind him he heard the distinctive click of handcuffs being readied. His empire wasn't just crumbling, it was being demolished on national television. The general's eyes bore into him. Would you care to explain why a Medal of Honor recipient was treated like a common criminal in your courthouse? Officer Timothy Blackwood opened his mouth, but the practiced excuses died in his throat. The security footage playing on the courtroom's screen told the story. His systematic harassment of veterans, his abuse of power all laid bare. His phone buzzed continuously in his pocket as Dr. Blackwood Falls trended higher, his disgrace chronicled in real time. His voice cracked. I didn't know. That's right, Officer Blackwood. You didn't know. You never bothered to know the men and women you swore to protect. The general stepped closer, his voice dropping to a whisper that somehow filled the entire room. Do you know what happened in Da Nang, Officer Blackwood? Do you know what Mr. Rigg did to earn those medals you threw in the dirt? Drop one if you've ever witnessed power crumble before truth. Officer Timothy Blackwood's hands shook as he reached for his badge, his symbol of authority now transformed into a mark of shame. The metal felt cold, lifeless. Behind him, camera shutters clicked like judgment, documenting the moment a tyrant faced justice. Your badge, Officer Blackwood. The general's command left no room for resistance. With trembling fingers, Officer Timothy Blackwood unpinned the badge. 15 years of power of unchecked authority reduced to this moment. As he placed it on the bench, the sound echoed through the silent courtroom like a gavel falling on his career. The handcuffs clicked around his wrists, the same sound he'd delighted in when arresting Rigg yesterday. Only now Officer Timothy Blackwood understood. The system he'd corrupted had turned against him. The power he'd abused had evaporated. And as they led him away, the last thing he saw was Daniel Rigg standing at attention offering a silent salute not to him, but to the justice finally being served. Share this moment of justice with Hunter Blackwood Falls. Let's show the world that no badge is above the law. General Samuel Wyatt's hand trembles slightly as he clutches the worn leather briefcase containing 50 years of silence. The morning sun streams through the courthouse windows, catching the brass buttons of his meticulously maintained dress uniform, a armor of authority he's worn like a second skin for decades. Looking at his reflection in the polished marble walls, he sees not the decorated general who commanded thousands, but a man who finally understands the weight of wrong choices. The medallion feels impossibly heavy in his pocket, each engraved letter of commendation now burning with accusation. Samuel Wyatt, the man who built his legacy on other men's hidden sacrifices, who let heroes like Daniel fade into shadows while he climbed higher on their untold stories. His throat tightens as he recalls every time he chose silence over justice, every medal ceremony where Daniel's name should have been called. The courtroom doors open with a sound like destiny's judgment. As Samuel Wyatt steps forward, the familiar confidence that once radiated from his shoulders has been replaced by something heavier: responsibility. The judge's eyes lock onto him, and for the first time in his career, the general feels small beneath that gaze. Your Honor. His voice carries the weight of half a century. I've come to correct a grievous error. The medallion catches the light as he withdraws it, its golden surface reflecting accusations across the silent courtroom. This Medal of Honor belongs to Daniel Rigg, and I am here to confess why it was denied to him for 50 years. The words pour out like a flood breaking through a dam. The classified mission, the political convenience, the systematic burial of a hero's sacrifice beneath layers of bureaucratic silence. With each revelation, Samuel Wyatt feels pieces of his carefully constructed identity crumbling away, leaving only truth in their wake. Silent Hero begins trending within minutes, but Samuel Wyatt barely notices. His focus remains fixed on Daniel's face, on the quiet dignity that has endured decades of injustice. The sound of cameras clicking feels like artillery fire in his ears, each flash documenting the fall of a general and the rise of a long-hidden truth. When the judge orders Daniel's immediate release, the clink of handcuffs falling away echoes through the chamber like church bells. Samuel Wyatt's chest constricts as he watches Daniel stand free at last, the same steady resolve in his eyes that saved 12 men 5 decades ago. The greatest honor isn't in receiving medals. Samuel Wyatt addresses the packed courtroom, his voice thick with emotion, but in finally standing for what's right no matter the personal cost. He unpins his own medals, laying them beside Daniel's rightful commendation. Each metallic clink against the wooden table marks another step in his journey from pride to redemption. The headlines will speak of scandal of cover-ups exposed and systems challenged. But here in this moment, Samuel Wyatt sees only the quiet nod Daniel gives him. The same nod from that blood-soaked night in '73, when one man's courage saved many and another man's silence buried it. As they walk out together into the glare of camera lights and justice, finally served, Samuel Wyatt understands the ultimate truth. True honor isn't found in the medals we wear, but in the courage to right our wrongs, no matter how late the hour. Share this video if you believe it's never too late for justice. 2. Type honor in the comments if you believe every hero deserves recognition. The Medal of Honor, finding its rightful home on Daniel's chest, while Samuel Wyatt's empty uniform serves as testament to the power of truth over pride.